like, I looked in the mirror and I remember being like, I see nothing that I like about myself. He was a very nice guy, but he was very traditional in his way of thinking. And he said, like, you got to give up on this foolish acting dream of yours. I did not listen to that voice of that bishop. I kept going. Even though he was a church leader, I said, God, like, what should I do right now? And he's like, Charan, I need you to listen to me very close. I need you to focus on having fun. One more time, please. He's like, yeah, have more fun.
Okay, now let me try your name.
I'm excited. This is going to be so fun. You guys, we've been practicing this for a while, so this is going to be so fun.
I need to look, Charan Prabhakar?
That's better than the way I would say it, so... let's go
how
with
would
that
you
one.
say it?
I would just say Charan.
Oh, Charan. What did I say? Charan? Dang
Yeah,
it.
but you went Indian. That was great. I go by Charan Prabhakar.
Charan Prabhakar.
Yeah.
Okay. But you were born in India.
I was born in India.
Okay, tell me about just give me a synopsis of your life up to this point.
I was born in India, and we wanted to come to the States. I was 6 years old when we first moved to the States, but even before we did, we talked about this earlier, I was born into a Hindu family. I was Hindu, but it was interesting because we kept getting our visas denied to come to the States. And my mom, I guess when she was a young girl, like in third grade or something like that, she had watched this video in her school about Jesus Christ. And there was something about Jesus Christ that like really connected with her, really resonated with her. So she and this girl that worked at our house, when like no one else knew it, they snuck out of the house and they went to like a Catholic church so she could pray to Jesus.
Such a rebel. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
she's so she's rebellious, man. Like that rebellious spirit of hers. But she did. She went to go pray to Jesus. And then 2 weeks later we got our visas. And not only did we get our visas, we came to Y-Mount Terrace in Provo, Utah. And I grew up here. Never heard of like the LDS faith or like really Christianity in general, you know, being Hindu. I've always been a very, very, very spiritual kid. Like that was always something that was like so inherent to me.
What does that mean though? Like,
well, I think for me, it meant I just had this deep desire to know God. Always.
Like, did you always inherently just believe in God?
Yes.
Okay.
I really did. And I think like, and when I came here, like I just had a deep desire to know Jesus Christ. In fact, it was funny. I had some friends of mine that invited me to an LDS church when I was 7 years old or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And I went, and I remember like right when I got in, I was like looking around and I'm like looking at the chapel and they were like, what's going on? Are you okay? And I'm like, where's Jesus Christ? Like I legit thought I was going to meet with Jesus Christ. And they're like, oh, he's in, and they pointed up to heaven. And I'm like, what is that? Is that upstairs? And so like I ran upstairs. Like I was so sad that I did not meet Jesus Christ because I thought for sure that's who I was going to meet and hang out with. So I had this this feeling, this desire to know him, and I wanted to learn more about Christ. And then once it came time for me to get baptized, my dad was like, no, I don't want you to get baptized. And so I stopped learning anything about the LDS church, didn't do anything like that. And so I never went to church again, but I was kind of bouncing around from like my own faith or of like what I even believed. And my mom was always like, Charan, no matter what, there is a God. You know, and people use like different names, and you know, Indians believe him differently, Christians believe him differently, but there is a God, and I would love for you to keep praying to him. Mm-hmm. So she really instilled that faith in me. But what happened was I went to high school at Timpview High School.
Yeah.
And my between my junior and senior year, a really good buddy of mine died. Now, I didn't know he had died. I was in Colorado at the time, living with my dad. When I came back my senior year, I found out that he passed away, and that really shook me because I had never experienced death like that before. Like it was a friend of mine. Like he would sit next to me. We'd joke around all the time. Yeah. So to imagine that him not being there was just like weird. And so I remember the second day of my senior year, I was outside shooting hoops, and it was kind of like my form of prayer, even though I didn't even know it was. Mm-hmm. And his name was Sam, and I remember as I was shooting hoops, I kind of said out loud, I'm like, Sam, you got to let me know that you're alive. Like, you got to let me know that you're still around. Like, I want to believe that you're still here. Like, I want to believe that your spirit continues to exist after you die, but I have no idea. And I said that, and all of a sudden, two really, really bright rainbows appeared right in front of me. And I felt what I now know as the spirit, but my entire body was just lit up with light. It was just lit up with energy, and it was almost like I had no doubt in my mind that Sam was alive. I was like, oh my gosh. And I just started laughing out of joy. Like, I was like, dude, you're here, you're good. And then a couple weeks later, he came to me in a dream and we were hanging out. I'm like, dude, I thought you died. Like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, no, I did, but that doesn't mean I'm not around anymore. I'm like, what? Are you serious? And so again, I woke up and I was like, that's interesting. And now it's been interesting because I had experiences like that all the time. And I know that not everyone experiences God or Jesus or anything like that, like the way I'm describing it, but I always did. And so I just expected that to be just a common thing. And so it was actually after I graduated high school that I had this this kind of like it literally was a come to Jesus moment, because I did not know what I was going to go do with my life. I was feeling really empty. I was feeling kind of sad. And I was thinking, do I just need to hang out more? Like, what's going on? Hang out with my friends more? Maybe that's what it is.
That's always the answer.
That's always the answer. Go play, go boating. But I'd come home feeling so empty. And one day I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I was like feeling so empty, so alone.
Dude, these are really deep insights for, what, an 18-year-old?
17.
This is insane. Okay.
Well, I just felt like I looked in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I see nothing that I like about myself. I just, there was nothing that was looking back at me that excited me. And it was weird because I knew suicide wasn't the answer.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that I could look forward to that excited me. And I felt depleted in every sense of the word. And at that moment, I remembered, I think I need to pray. And I didn't even know how to pray. I mean, I'd been taught all these different ways to pray as a Hindu and having all these rote prayers. But I went into my room and I remember kneeling down and I'm like, gosh, if there's a God and if he's powerful, I hope he understands English, because I am going to speak in English because I don't know what else to do. And I prayed, and it was such a simple and it was a short prayer. And it was just like, God, I don't even know if you're real. I want to believe that you are. But if you're real and if you can guide me to happiness, I'll follow you. The end. Like, I didn't know what else to say. Like, I was like, all right, amen. I don't know. And that prayer set me on a journey that like is still going. But it was interesting because, and we can get into tons of details, but like, I won't get into all of them. But basically, through a series of insanely miraculous experiences, I ended up learning about more and more about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I need to make this a point, like, I was very, very, very connected to Jesus. I felt a connection to him so strongly. And I had this desire, because a couple months later, after going to church and stuff and like hearing these testimonies of these returned missionaries that were coming back home, or missionaries that were going out to serve, I remember thinking and like feeling like the joy that they were feeling. And I went hiking with my buddy at night and he was telling me that he was going to go on a mission, and I grabbed him and I'm like, dude, I need to go on a mission. And then he's like, dude, you got to get baptized first. I'm like, got it. And so it was a whole journey that happened, but like ended up getting baptized, and that was like a crazy story, which we won't go into right now. But got baptized, and I went on a mission a year later.
Where'd you go?
I went to Australia.
Which one?
The Melbourne West mission of Australia.
Cool.
And I went Chinese speaking.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm Indian, as we discussed earlier. So basically what I'm saying is I've had identity crisis, but I remember something so clearly. I was 19 years old. I'm a missionary. I'd been a member about a year. And I had a thought hit me so strong. Oh my gosh, this is about Jesus. It's not about the church. And I know that sounds like, I don't want to be like, be rebellious or whatever, but I remember thinking, when I was having hard times on the mission, thinking about the church didn't give me strength.
Yeah.
Thinking about the temple didn't give me strength. Thinking about my missionaries, what my responsibility is as a missionary, what my investigators are thinking, none of those things gave me strength. I thought about Jesus, and I thought about the relationship we had, instantly powered up with life. And I'm like, he is giving me power. I've like tested this. I've looked at every other thing, and those things are all nice. Those things are all good. They aren't giving me power. When I was thinking about Jesus and the relationship I had with him and how I'm to share his love and that's it, dude, I came alive. It was freaking magical. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's about Jesus. And that has definitely been what has like really, really, really helped me throughout my entire life. I mean, I came home from the mission, I went to BYU, didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life, and I thought for some crazy, crazy thing, hey, you know what? I want to try acting. That'd be kind of fun, right? And that was a whole, like, my parents were like, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? I'm like, I know I am. I am a little crazy. I'm going to give it a shot. And that worked out. Like, I'm a full-time actor. Like, I've been doing...
What did it start? What did you try out for?
I mean, dude, I did like...
Was it plays first?
No, like small little independent films.
Like you went straight to the camera.
To film. Yeah. It just felt so good and felt right. And then, I mean, that's a whole other journey. But like being caught, like the experience I had, it was in 2004. I had like a kind of a weird, depressing type of day. And I remember thinking, okay, if I regret anything in my life, what would it be if I don't give it a shot? And I'm like, acting. For sure it'd be acting if I never give it a shot. Then I'm like, why haven't I? And I realized I'm afraid. I'm afraid I'm going to fail. And I'm like, dude, I'm a hypocrite because on my mission, I told people, like, if you just believed and had faith in Christ, like, he can make things happen in your life that you couldn't even dream of. And here I am, afraid that he wouldn't come through for me. And I'm like, dude, I can't be afraid. And so I'm like, I'm going to be an actor. And when I said that, it was like my entire body was like, yes, you're going for it. And then all of a sudden people started calling me out of the blue. Like miracles started happening. I went to church and this guy randomly came up after my last meeting and I thought he was going to introduce himself to me as a home teacher. And he's like, dude, this is so random that I ask you this. Have you ever thought about being an actor? I'm like, shut your mouth. What is happening right now? How is this happening? And he's like, dude, I am a director. I'm studying directing at UVU. I think you'd be a great actor. We should work on a film together. And I ended up, that was like one of the first films I did was with him. And it worked out great. And I got to be on a lot of fun projects here in Utah. Moved to LA for a while. Got to do some really sweet TV shows out there.
What's your advice to someone like yourself 20 years ago thinking about being an actor?
God wants us to be authentic. And when we're authentic and when we're alive and we're truly ourselves, that's when he blesses us the most, in my opinion. And for me, my career choice of being an actor, which was something that people laughed at. Like, I remember in high school, people thought that was the most ridiculous thing. You know, counselors were like, oh, that's nice you want to be an actor. Can you think of it like something a little bit more realistic? And I would have like these negative thoughts in my head. But then I remember in Utah, I would randomly get roles that would just keep coming. They're like, hey, Charan, we like you in this. Like, let's have you be in this. Hey, Charan, we like you in this. Let's be in this. And I'm like, son of a gun, is this working out? I think it's working. But then I moved to LA and I got a dose of reality. Okay. And it's hard. It's hard out there. I mean, dude, I went from being a big fish to in a small pond to being a little guppy in an ocean. Right.
Yeah.
And there are tons of people all trying to do the same thing, and it's crazy. And I wasn't even living in LA at the time. I was living in Rancho Cucamonga, which is like an hour east of LA. And I had, and for those of the non-LDS listeners out there, there's our leader in like our congregation is called a bishop. And so I had an interview with our local bishop. And, well, this bishop, he was a very nice guy, but he was very traditional in his way of thinking. And he challenged me a bit. He got upset at me for not making more money. And it's weird.
What?
It was weird.
This is weird. Is it wealth shaming?
It was a weird wealth shaming type of thing.
Okay.
And he got upset at me. And he said, like, you got to give up on this foolish acting dream of yours.
Oh, I see.
You know, like you.
That was his angle to get
that was
you
his
out of
angle.
it. Yeah, I got you.
You know, and he was like, you got to get out of this foolish acting dream of yours. Like you're expected. God expects you to get married, to have a family, and have kids, and have a regular job that's going to support that. Like, you should be making like at least $10,000 a month. And I'm like, I don't know if there's any gospel thing that says that, but he was saying that, and he's like, you got to give up on this foolish acting dream of yours. Give yourself maybe 4, 5, 6 months, and if it doesn't work out, stop. You know. And I remember leaving feeling so terrible about myself.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Like, just the worst, right? And I felt a lot of shame. And I felt a lot of like guilt. And I'm like, am I just freaking wasting my time? Like, what am I doing right now? Like, what is this? And then all of a sudden something hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. As I was walking in my car, I thought, not once did I feel the Spirit when he was talking. I felt a lot of shame.
Mm-hmm.
I felt a lot of regret. I felt a lot of, oh man, I suck at life.
Mm-hmm.
But never once did I feel an inspired feeling from God that was full of love. And I'm like, I need to pray. I need to pray immediately because I'm here in California, and if I shouldn't be here, or if I shouldn't be doing this, I need to know now. So I went and I prayed. And I said, God, like, I need to know, like, should I be doing this? Or should I, like, find a regular job and quit this thing? Because I don't want to be foolish. I want to follow you. And I felt him so clearly come to me. He's like, Charan, I brought you here so you can act. I provided all these apartments and all these places you're living. I provided you with an agent. I provided you all this stuff. Like, we're just getting started, buddy, so don't give up now. And when he said that, that feeling of love hit me. That feeling of peace. That feeling of joy. There was zero shame. There was zero guilt. And instantly I was like, oh, I trust this way more. And you know what? I did not listen to that voice of that bishop. I kept going. Even though he was a church leader, I remember thinking, no, I feel from God I should be an actor, and I'm going to go do it. And you know what? I'm so grateful for that decision. It still took some time, but then I ended up becoming like a guest star on an Emmy award-winning show. It was an HBO show called Silicon Valley. My next audition was for an untitled HBO pilot called Deep Tech, which is Silicon Valley, but it was called Deep Tech back then. And there was this audition for a sides for like it was like a monologue, and I remember reading it, and I saw the character a certain way, and I go into the casting director's office, and the casting director says, "Okay, so this character is very shy. He's very awkward. You got to make him really, really shy and awkward." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Now, I didn't see this character like that, but I'm like, all right. So I did this audition very shy, very awkwardly, like really prolonging it. And she thought it was like really funny. And so I did it. And then I went to Utah to film something. And then my manager reaches out. She's like, Charan, you got to get back to LA. They want you for a callback. I'm like, for what? They're like, that HBO show. I'm like, wait, are you kidding me?
Did you know it was
serious?
Mike Judge at the time?
I didn't even know who Mike Judge was.
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I mean,
Okay. All right.
and so all these things, right?
Okay.
So then I like really learned the lines, and I go to Culver City Studios, and it was me and two other Indian guys that were up for this role, and we went to like the studios, like the elevator door opens, and I'm like, people are like, yeah, can we help you? I'm like, yeah, I'm here for a callback. And they're like, oh, you're here for a callback. Okay. Here's some water for you. And then they're like, let's have you sit here. And I'm like, oh geez. Like, so now I'm like, they're like kind of sweating a little bit. And I wasn't even the first one there, but then they wanted to see me first. So I go in this room, and like, if I had Googled the people that were there previously, it would have been I would have been host.
Yeah.
I would have been host. But there's Mike Judge. There's Alec Berg, who writes for Seinfeld.
Yeah.
There's all these HBO execs. It's like a huge, like one of those long tables, like those, like what's it called, board meeting type tables, you know. All these people are there, and then me, and they're like, "Hey, thank you so much for coming in. We're really excited to meet with you. Let's have you go ahead and read it." So I did the audition, and again, awkward, just shy, long. And they were like kind of snickering, they're kind of laughing. They're like, "Oh yeah, that was great." And Mike's like, "Yeah, that was awesome." He's like, "Let me give you some notes." So he's like giving me some notes on places that he'd like me to like tweak it a little bit. And the whole time, I felt it was almost like God or inspiration or whatever saying, "Charan, you don't see this character this way. You don't see him this way." And I'm like, "Hey, can I try something completely different?" And Mike looks at me, he's like, "Oh, do you see the character differently?" And I'm like, "I really do. Can I try something totally different?"
Yes.
And he's like, "Yeah, dude, let's go for it. Let's see what you got." I'm like, "Okay." And I thought, this character thinks he's so freaking cool, and he's completely oblivious to what an idiot he is. That's what makes it funny, because he's so oblivious. So I did it that way, and the room was dying laughing. You know, like, they were just dying. And afterwards, like, the casting director, like, as she's walking me out, she's like, "Charan, that was amazing." And I called my manager when I got to my car, and I'm like, "Dora, I don't see how that could have gone any better. That was amazing." But I was panicking all weekend. I'm like, did I get it done? No, it was a Friday when I did the audition. And then Monday they called me and they're like, you got the part. And it was so amazing. And I was so stoked. And they even reworked the character to be more like the way I did it.
That is cool.
And it taught me something super powerful. Again, about trusting your authentic voice, trusting your God-given abilities. And I feel like that's been a big thing with my own like relationship with God, is how do I like stay true to him, and being true to him is actually true to my own voice. Mm-hmm. That's what's so interesting. Is like the more I followed God, the more me I am. Does that make sense?
It totally does. I don't remember who said it, but someone said the closer you get to Christ, that the truer your personality will become.
Yes.
Because without Christ, we are inherently divine, and that's our identity. But when we don't have that identity in the forefront of our minds, we go, well, what's my political identity? What's my social identity? What's my all these different identities? And those aren't your true identities.
No.
When you're closer to Christ, I wish I could tell you who taught me this, but it's such a beautiful lesson. Christ pulls out your real personality.
We have these facades we put on all the time,
right?
And I realized my happiness, my joy does not need to be based on my circumstance at all. Because I'm independently happy regardless of what's going on outside of me. So when I flipped that part of my switch in my brain as an actor, before I even want to get any of these auditions, I just want to be happy right now. And going back into my authentic self and choosing my voice allowed me to be happy. And that connection to God allowed me to be happy. It was always that relationship. And that happiness, as it grew and grew and grew, guess what happened? I got more and more parts because I wasn't chasing. And then I had to go through this reforming thing of realizing, oh, my happiness cannot be based on a role or a job or some like a relationship, like a dating relationship or something. Like if I base my happiness on anything outside of myself, I am going to suffer. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. And if I do get it, it'll be a fleeting moment.
Okay, so this happiness, this fulfillment it's like a muscle. You're not going to immediately like switch your brain. You know, we're very habitual creatures. Okay, so someone out there who feels the Spirit, believes this, wants to change. Yeah. What are some practical things to start like believing that? Is it what, praying and reading scriptures? Like what do you do to get fulfilled? Like what's the fulfilling? Man. Yeah,
it's a really good question. In fact, it's interesting. In 2020, when COVID hit and the whole world was reset, I remember asking God. I said, God, like, what should I do right now? Like, what's the number one thing I should be doing? And he's like, Charan, I need you to listen to me very close. What I'm about to tell you is very serious. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm listening. Go ahead. He's like, I need you to focus on having fun. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I think I may have misunderstood. I apologize. Yeah, my hearing could be off. One more time, please. He's like, yeah, have more fun. And he kept saying that over and over. I'm like, well, are you serious? You want me to have more fun? He's like, yes, I want you to have more fun. And I started laughing, and I'm like, why? Why is it so important to you to have more fun? He's like, because then you'll finally be authentic. I'm like, holy crud, have I not been authentic? He's like, Charan, think about this. How many decisions have you made that were really your choices? And I started thinking about that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so many choices I've made because someone else told me I should do it. Even when it comes to like scripture study and praying, it's like the church says it, so that's why I do it, All of these things were choices that other people said. They're good things, but I didn't choose it from my own choice. Like, look, we've got gifts of our body and agency, right? And we do all kinds of things to strengthen our body, but what do we do to strengthen our agency? How many choices have we made that are really our own? And he said, when you have fun, that's when you know, like, this is an authentic choice. And there's no one convincing you, oh, this is fun. You just know you're having fun, right? So to anyone that's like really struggling and going through challenges, and they're reading their scriptures, they're praying really hard, they're trying super hard to make ends meet, and somehow they just can't get to that place above that hill where happiness lies. I gotta tell you guys, like, happiness is right here, right now, and it's available right here, right now. It's as simple as opening a door and letting it flood in. Like, Christ is literally outside this door of your heart. and all you got to do is open that door and he'll come in. A lot of the people I talk to talk about how broken they are. One of the things, I live by myself in Lehigh, and I have a lot of guys come stay with me that are going through like divorce and hard times, and it's such a challenge. And I tell everyone this, like, I feel like Christ is awakening a lot of people right now. Massive amounts of people. I see it, I hear it all the time.
I agree.
And I always tell people that the first step to that is you have to be broken. Mm-hmm. But the thing is everyone that's broken are broken open. Mm-hmm. It's not just broken, you're broken open. And you need to be broken open. And then Christ can come in, and boom, the two of you can be a new creature and do some rad stuff together.
Dude, amen. That was me last year. That's how this podcast came to fruition. Charan, dude, this has been so inspirational and beautiful and spirit-filled, and thank you for bringing so much fun and authenticity. And dude, I'm excited to see where your career goes, and I'll be following. And dude, just thanks for being who you are and being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Eric. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Dude,
Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. More importantly, I hope you feel closer to your Creator. If you find yourself wanting to strengthen your relationship with God, I'm a huge fan of the Skylight app. It's full of beautiful, high-quality daily spiritual practices. Finally, never forget, in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him.